Now that you've learned about the layout of the piano keyboard and you've learned separately about the musical alphabet, let's try putting them together and applying the musical alphabet to the keyboard. This is an important step because it will tell us the names of the white keys. When we look at the piano keyboard, you can see, as we've mentioned earlier, that it's organized by groups of 2 and 3 black keys. In between each group of 2 black keys is a white key that we call D. And if you think of the musical alphabet and what you've learned so far, you've learned that it goes from A to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and continues indefinitely all the way to the end of the keyboard. So if we know that D, which is a note that I like to start with, is in between the group of 2 black keys, then we can follow the alphabet forward as we go to the right on the keyboard. So as we move up to the higher notes, we're actually moving forward in the alphabet. So if this is D, then as I move to the right, that would be the next letter E. Then F, G, and then the alphabet starts over, A, B, C, D, and we've reached D again. This is an octave higher, so we played this D first, and now we reached this D an octave higher, and you'll notice that it's in the same place in relation to the black keys. So once again, it's between the group of 2 black keys. This is one of the reasons that I like to start with D, even though a lot of people learn middle C first. D is actually easier to find because it's always between that group of 2 black keys, no matter what octave you're in. So as we move forward on the keyboard to the right, we move forward in the alphabet, and we also can go backwards as we go to the left on the keyboard. If I start with D again, the letter before D is C, and then as we go backwards, B, A, G, F, E, here's D again, and then we could continue to go backwards. It's important to practice the musical alphabet forwards and backwards because the notes in whatever piece you happen to be playing could move either direction. So even though it's not intuitive to us to go backwards in the alphabet, it's something that's worth practicing. So one of the exercises that you can do when you're first becoming familiar with the musical alphabet on the keyboard is to do just what I was doing, to play starting on whatever note you want, and I'd change it up every time, start with a different note. So maybe this time we'll start with F. F happens to be to the left of the group of 3 black keys, and that will always be F, regardless of which octave. So I could start with F and play F, and I like to say the letter names as I play them so that I'm reinforcing what I'm learning. We have F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. I just moved up an octave, and I could keep going. But you also want to practice going backwards as well. So maybe I'll start with a C this time, and I'll choose a higher C to the right. I start with C, and I go backwards, calling out the note names as I play. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, etc. So we have our different octaves where each note is the same in relation to the black keys, and we see that the musical alphabet goes forward as we move higher, and it goes backwards as we move lower. There are other ways that you can practice this as well. So you could choose a note. For example, I'll choose E this time. E is just to the right of the group of 2 black keys, and it will always be located there, regardless of octave. So I could play the lower E, and then jump up to the next E, and then the next E. And I could do this going up or down the keyboard, and that would help me learn where those E's are. So you can take one note at a time, and there are only 7 different notes in the musical alphabet. So in 1 week, if you took 1 note per day, you could learn all of the white keys. Another way to practice would be to learn them in groups. So for example, the first note that we learned on the keyboard here was D, and that's in the middle of the group of 2 black keys. Then we have C to the left, and we have E to the right. So I could take these groups, and I could practice playing C, D, E, then I'd jump up an octave, C, D, E, C, D, E. And if I practice this consistently, then it won't be long before I realize that D is always in the middle, and I can find C and E very easily from there. I'll have that sequence in my head. Another way that you could practice, or another group that you could practice, would be the group of white keys that surround the 3 black keys. So these white keys are F, G, A, and B. So again, we could start lower or we could start higher, either way, but we could start lower and play those white keys. F, G, A, B. Then the next group, F, G, A, B, F, G, A, B. Again, these are just some simple ways that you can get used to not only playing the white keys, but memorizing what their names are and how the musical alphabet works on the keyboard.